Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Weiner Wellness Virtual Summit. You're in for a special treat. Joe Messino, the godfather of nutrition, is here, and he's going to be talking to us about the Sinatra protocol. So I don't know if you're starting out with a song, Joe, or how this is going to happen.
No, I promised I wouldn't sing this time. So I could start out with "That's Life" because that's fitting.
Or maybe you should change the lyrics to "That's Lifestyle."
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's funny. You say the word Sinatra, and right, what comes to mind? Frank. But at least it does for most of us. But today we're going to talk about Dr. Stephen Sinatra, because he's probably the most well-known functional medicine cardiologist in the country. He's written several books. His most famous book is The Sinatra Solution. And what he did was he basically compiled known information on certain nutrients and put them together into a protocol that, to me, is still the #1 heart healthy protocol that we have available to us. And I'm going to explain why that is, because a lot of people think they're following the Sinatra Solution and they're not. If you leave out any of these components of these three, you're not getting the full effect. But there's more to it than that, and we'll get into that. So, and I can't help but bring up the fact that I was just down. We're in the Wellness Week, and we were down on the floor a little bit earlier today, and a lady came in with her mother. Her mother had to be late 80s, early 90s. And she had she got her second shot and had an immediate extreme reaction, Tracy. Started at her feet, tingling, numbness went all the way up her body to her brain. And she finally, passed out. They had her in the hospital. She's still not the same. She's still suffering the same effects. And this poor woman, Tracy, I mean, at that age, why? But, so we helped her, we gave her your protocol and Judy's and Robert's, all the things that we've learned over the last month or so. And hopefully we can help them out. But, there's only so much we can do. But I mean, it just kills me to see that someone that old would think this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And where are
there's a lot of pressure.
And where's the conscience of these physicians and when they look at someone of that age, frail to begin with, and they say, oh, yeah, here. Where's their conscience?
You could say that about every protocol that's put on these elderly people. I mean, being on 42 medications on average, entering into long-term care facilities.
Yeah.
What physician does that? I mean, is it really necessary to suppress an 80-some-year-old body that much?
Right.
So,
no. And again, we're talking, and this is about heart health today. So I'm gonna get back to that. And we still have people coming into the center downstairs asking about their cholesterol and their good cholesterol and their bad cholesterol. There's no such thing as good and bad cholesterol. And since we're talking about heart health, the Sinatra Solution is about heart health. Let's not make any mistake about it. But the positive side effects to the Sinatra Solution are more energy, more muscle recovery, less recovery time for exercising of these large muscle groups in the body. So many positive side effects to the Sinatra Solution. So, before, I guess we should let's start off with saying that there are 3 nutrients that are the foundation of the Sinatra Solution. And I bet most people will be able to come up with the first one, right? The giver of life, coenzyme Q10. It is at the heart of this protocol. And we're going to talk some more about CoQ10. We'll give you the bullet point version of why it's so good. Now, the second nutrient people might not get. Okay, I think a lot of people think, oh, it's got to be magnesium. but it's not. Now, does that mean magnesium is not important? That doesn't mean that. It is important for good heart health. But the second nutrient is L-carnitine. Now, I think a lot of athletes know about L-carnitine. It's an essential. It's a very unique amino acid. We're going to get into why it is. But let's keep in mind those first two nutrients. And then the third that makes up the Sinatra solution is D-ribose. Now, there's a lot going on with D-ribose, and the amount you take and everything. It has a lot of aspects, but most people would never equate that with heart health, because if they think about it a little bit, they may think that's a sugar. Wait a minute, come on, what are you doing here? Sugar? It is, but, and we'll get into the but of the issue. But I see you smiling. But see, the reason these three are so important is that two of them are, let's say, carriers of energy. And the third is the reserve, the reserve that most people never have, that reserve of energy that you need in the extremest of conditions, including ischemia. Okay, so this has been used for people that have had actual attacks right after. And I'll tell you, one of the guys that I've worked with over the years, the doctor down in Florida, Dr. Mitchell Genn. Hi, Mitch. I always reference you, buddy. He was very, very essential in helping us design formulations that would cover the Sinatra solution in the Sinatra protocol. And Mitch, an MD, used this protocol, and he had patients that he was able to stop, an event, let's just say an event, from happening by using one of the key components, and that was D-ribose. Okay, so the three components are CoQ10, L-carnitine, D-ribose. Now, CoQ10, I've talked about ad nauseum. Everybody knows it's my go-to. It's my favorite. And of course, combining it with DMG is my all-time favorite nutrient that I never go without. And that's our Enter CoQ10 600. So it's 300 milligrams CoQ and 300 of DMG. I've talked about this a lot. But CoQ10, unfortunately, if it's not in your cell, the cell dies. That's really how important. Sinatra calls it the giver of life. I mean, cellular life all is dependent upon serum CoQ10 levels. So if that's not enough for you to make it one of your core 4 nutrients, no matter what your situation is, I don't know what to tell you. Your cell has to live. The cell lives or it dies. The sooner it dies, the more degeneration, the sooner you die. Cellular life. Nothing is more important for cellular life than CoQ10. It carries ATP. That's our body's key energy, right? Adenosine triphosphate. See, CoQ10 and L-carnitine have a very unique purpose in the Sinatra solution, and that is that they are both carriers. CoQ10 carries ATP into the cells, into the mitochondria. L-carnitine has a slightly different function, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just want to make sure that everybody realizes the importance of CoQ10. And I want to add one thing in. It's made in the liver. Most people, I think, are aware now. Coenzyme Q10 is made in your liver in the same chemical pathway as cholesterol. And so that makes cholesterol a vital nutrient too. Okay. And I think you all know my position on cholesterol. But I want to also point out that CoQ10 is the key nutrient to prevent oxidation of, guess what? Cholesterol. So if you're not excreting enough of your cholesterol after it's done its job, if your so-called bad cholesterol, okay, is too high and it's now oxidizing and causing problems in your body, it's probably related back to a CoQ10 deficiency. It's that simple. And you know what you could do? You can get in here and see Jeff Nisnik and let him test you on CoQ10 and how much you need. And maybe he'll even teach you how to do the sway test. And you can check yourself on dosages. This is what I do. I saw Jeff, I get my workup, and then periodically I change my dosing based on the sway test. But I've never stopped taking CoQ10. We know it's that important.
Joe, what is a recommended RDA for CoQ10?
There's no RDA.
Really dumb
for
amount.
CoQ10.
Real dumb amount.
There's no, because there is no dumb amount. All CoQ10 is good, but no, the RDA doesn't really recommend. They only recommend vitamins and minerals. Okay, there's really no recommendation.
Normally, what I tell people from experience is that if you're on a statin, you need 300 milligrams or more. Right. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think everybody at a certain age should be at that level. Dr. Sinatra does have a dosing schedule that he uses.
What does he recommend just for the average there?
All right, let me show you. Let me grab it.
Because Wendy said she just purchased hers, and she says she's taking 1 power CoQ10, which is about 100 milligrams. You know, for me, I would take probably 300.
Yeah.
For me. But I do the Power Q600 daily, so that I get 300 milligrams of CoQ and 300 milligrams of DMG.
Yeah, exactly. Now he recommends, and this book is a few years old, not real old, but preventative. He recommends from 90 to 150 milligrams preventative for treatment of either angina, cardiovascular issues, arrhythmia, high blood pressure, moderate gingivitis. Interesting, right? He recommends 180 to 360 milligrams. Now, that range is a little weird. And I think it's because earlier on, a lot of the preparations were in like 50 and 60 milligram dosages.
And also the studies probably on it with, recovery were probably in, scattered doses. But go touch back on that gingivitis and gum health and heart health connection. Because I was watching Dr. Carrie Madej, and she was saying that she was part of numerous studies that showed that if you had bacteria in your mouth and they gave you antibiotic treatment for it, that the secondary benefit was it cleared out the arteries and veins associated with cardiovascular disease. How about that? So we can go back to gum health and cardiovascular health being the same, because in vitro, the same cells that build your heart are the exact same cells that build your gums.
Exactly. And the beauty of what we have to offer for that. Now, it says, moderate gingivitis, but I got to tell you, when this book was written and his protocol was designed, he didn't have a chewable CoQ10 to work with. Okay. And that even makes a bigger difference, because you actually get some absorption and some coating, in the mucosa of the gums. So
my mom actually had a really severe sinus infection at one time. It was a couple years back. And I had at that time, it was just Power CoQ10 600.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I think it was her teeth at the time. And I was just an assumption, right? So I was like, take this. I said, don't chew it up right away. I said, chew it a little bit and then hold that saliva in your mouth. Let it work with the amylase and just hold it in that side of your mouth. She called me like 15 minutes later. She said, I don't know what you gave me, but it caused such a drainage in her sinuses so fast that she was sitting at the table and she said it just poured out of her nose. Like everything just poured out of her nose. My dad was like, don't you ever give her that again. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But it was a gum issue, that was untreated or she didn't take care of. And her gums were unhealthy. So that Power Q 600 was like what we use. Now it's called CoQ.
Yeah. And you know what made it even more effective in that case was the DMG. It made it even more effective. And for those that don't know this, and it's worth hearing it again, when you combine DMG with any other nutrient, it increases that nutrient's uptake into the cell. Now, you need CoQ10 in your cells for them to live, right? What better way to increase the uptake of the CoQ10 you're taking than with DMG, dimethylglycine? That's why this formula is so powerful. So powerful. It's my desert island formula, folks. Hands down. So, L-Carnitine. Let's go back to L-Carnitine.
Okay.
Part 2 of the Sinatra solution. It's also a carrier, okay, but in a slightly different chemical pathway. L-Carnitine's main job in the body is to take those fatty acids that you've been ingesting and allow those to be converted into energy. So a lot of people think, a lot of people know that there's 2 sources of energy, sugar and fat, right? And one of the missing pieces to the puzzle to make use of fat as energy is L-Carnitine. So that is an incredible, I think, when you're talking about the heart, the word energy is synonymous, right? Without energy, the heart doesn't function. So I know a lot of people are doing things for energy, Tracy, but I don't think enough are taking advantage of this vehicle that can just take energy that's there and bring it to the engine to be burned. Athletes may have known about it to some extent, maybe not why, they just knew it worked. But there's no better way to convert fat into energy than through the use of L-Carnitine.
Yeah, and that's why it's in a lot of our formulations, when we're supporting energy pathways, you have to be able to carry it to the appropriate places, but you also have to have something to carry as well, right? Which is why you're going to talk about your next one. But we've also demonized fat. We talk about this a lot, Joe, that fat is bad. We need to burn it. And actually, it is a great resource of mitochondria,
Yes.
2,000 to 15,000 mitochondria in your fat cells. There's more mitochondria and ATP potential in your fat cells than any other cell in your body. It's just really about keeping them healthy. And our fat cells are sick. I always tell fat people, you're not fat, you're inflamed.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
If you
Inflamed
had
with
the right
toxins.
nutrients and you took out the toxins, then your fat cells would shrink because we have a set number of fat cells. So that can be good and bad, right? We only have so many, so that we know that we're not getting more fat cells as we gain weight by the age of 22. But also, if you don't have enough fat cells, so that developmental pathway from age 1 to 22, what are you feeding your children to get them optimal fat cell regeneration, right? What are you doing energy-wise for them, toxicity-wise? So I think it can work for or against us. And going back to CoQ10, one of the things that people don't know is that it is the nutrient for glycolysis, which is the liver's ability to convert, the sugar that comes to the digestive system and into the liver and bloodstream into available energy for your cells. And that whole thing is called cellular respiration. And so CoQ10 is the nutrient that kind of kicks it all into gear, right? Just like amylase is the enzyme that activates everybody else to get going. CoQ10 is there. And then you get to the next process of lipolysis, where now our reserves of carbohydrate energy are lower. We don't have enough. Now we got to pull from fat. That's where your next nutrient, that L-Carnitine, is going to come in and be like, all right, we need more energy. We need conversion here. So everything has a space and a place, right?
Normally, your heart gets about 60% of its energy from fat. That's normally. So, L-Carnitine's role in making that process more efficient, it's just really, it's an unknown star of cardiovascular health. And it's got to be, if most people are deficient, it's one of those unique amino acids that you can get from food, but you also synthesize it. Okay, and it can be synthesized in the body from other. The two main are lysine and methionine, I think, that are synthesized together for L-carnitine. So yeah, you can get it from your diet. Of course, you got to get it from, grass-fed meat products, organ meat, all of that. Yeah, it's great sources. There's others, but most vegetarians are going to be extremely deficient in L-carnitine. So you need to supplement with L-carnitine. So that's number 2. Now I want to go to number 3, because this one is really exciting. Again, we're breaking down myths here too. And the third nutrient in the Sinatra solution is D-ribose. Now this is a very simple sugar. And how simple is it? Well, it's so simple that its life in the body is seconds, if not less. You ingest it, it's right into the cell. Right in, it's burning immediately. Okay, so the first thing to get out of your mind is that even though it's categorized as a simple sugar, it's unlike any other sugar on the planet. This is immediate energy into the body. Now, what makes it so unique and why it's part of this trio is because it has this unique ability to recycle energy. Okay, to actually add that component. And I've never heard of any other nutrient that does that. Actually can help recycle energy in the body. Now, when Dr. Gen was talking, when we were working with him on this protocol years ago, he insisted on the ribose, and it had to be at a certain level. And he said he has used it to treat ischemia in his office. Now that's like a real rapid loss of blood to an organ or body part, okay, or a system. It could be in the arteries, it could be the heart itself, and obviously that's going to cause a lot of problems. But he actually used D-ribose at the level of 5 grams to treat events of ischemia, and I think that is absolutely huge. So the other thing about D-ribose is its ability to reduce lactic acid buildup in the body. So just think about, using your muscles again. And let's take it all the way back to the cholesterol meds that deprive CoQ10 from your body. So major muscle groups are always the first to be affected, right? The brain, the leg muscles, the thighs, right? The quadriceps, large muscle groups. That's the first thing you hear. Pain, right? In my legs, pain in my legs. That's because they're not getting any energy and the muscles are becoming extremely affected and fatigued. So D-ribose has that ability to recycle energy, reduce lactic acid, and increase healing time. Because every muscle has to heal on a regular basis, right? You use it, it breaks down, it rebuilds. When you exercise, you extremely tear the muscle down, it needs to rebuild. That time between that exercise event and where you feel good again, and in between the soreness, okay, that is how long it takes your mitochondria to repair. D-ribose speeds that up because it helps with recycling the energy that repairs the cells.
That's right. That's why it's called the Krebs cycle. It's a cycle, and it's pretty amazing. Like if you can remember back in 4th grade when you learned all this stuff, right? It's like the electrons, they want to be balanced and they get pulled up into the Krebs cycle because of the imbalance of electrons on one side on the other. And the fuel for that, right? It's CoQ10 to get that entire electron transport chain started because it's an electron transport chain. And then you have the L-carnitine that's going to move that fuel, the fat, into the mitochondria and break it apart so it can be used as fuel. Right. And then that cycle of transporting electrons requires D-ribose to keep transporting them along with FADH and NADH, which are coenzymes of B vitamins. So, I mean, if you just had a really great multivitamin, I'd have to think of one, Joe, that had so many of these
It
things
starts
in
with an
it.
F.
Starts with an F. It
Frontier
starts
Multi.
with Frontier Multi. Yeah.
Frontier Multi.
You would
And
have a
Women's
complete
Complete.
panel, that you could utilize for cardiovascular health and supplement support, and adding a few things to it if you know that you are on the other side of health, right? You're already suffering from cardiovascular disease of some sort. You could add things like Power Fuel that are loaded with D-ribose. And, the funny thing is, Joe, our Power Fuel, right, has the D-ribose, but we also added electrolytes, and further studies, when you're looking at this Sinatra protocol, also helps with renal health. Now, why would that be? Because everything that requires a vascular system can become corroded, clogged, ischemic, necrotic, right? And can decrease oxygen. It's not just our heart that needs oxygen, right, Joe? I mean, every organ needs it. Every organ.
Yeah, you can't live without oxygen. Now, one of the beauties of D-ribose is that, okay, there's all this, and Dr. Sinatra in his book talks about the ischemia issue and how they were treating it. So it wasn't, Dr. Genn didn't invent that. I'm sure he learned it from Dr. Sinatra, but he brought it to us. But that's blood flow, okay? Blood to an organ or system. But now, they found out way back about, this book's about 10 years old, I think, 10 or 12 years old. But they also found, and this is incredible, and I just found this again. I had it already noted in my book, but it's more relevant today than ever. Listen to this, Tracy. Okay, the basics of energy metabolism. When hearts become ischemic, or, this is right out of this, hypoxic. Okay, the cell is deprived of oxygen.
That word.
Yes, I know. And the mitochondria pathways of energy turnover function inefficiently. So how do you increase that efficiency? D-ribose increases that efficiency, not only for blood flow, but for oxygen. I mean, I have that word hypoxic. I think I've used it, 100 times in the last year. But it was already being talked about by the guys that are the best in the business, and that's Dr. Stephen Sinatra. So not only ischemia, but hypoxia, and when it involves the heart. And what is this thing doing out there to cardiovascular systems and hearts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's decreasing our oxygenation. It's decreasing blood flow and vascularity to really important organs and systems and functions. It's decreasing our ability to detoxify, creating oxidative stress. So in a time such as this, not only do you need these protocols, but you need more,
No.
But Joe, people are afraid to take more because supplements can be dangerous.
Oh boy. Well, that's not as bad as when they say, can it be toxic? You know me. I don't like we use the word toxic and nutrient in the same sentence.
Well,
no.
How many people do you know that died of vitamin E poisoning?
Yeah. None.
Vitamin A, vitamin D.
None.
How many is that?
0.0. 0.0. Now, dosing on D-ribose is interesting too. The minimum you need for all of these functions, these pathways of energy, is 5 grams. Okay, you need 5 grams minimum once a day. But according to Dr. Sinatra, that's just the beginning. And I know that, again, Dr. Genn was prescribing this formulation, the original Power Fuel, okay, before we added the electrolytes and the nitric oxide component. But the original Power Fuel, he was recommending 2 scoops of it a day. He wanted 10 grams of ribose to get the cardiovascular effect he was looking for, okay, for that recycling of energy. So Dr. Sinatra, again, 5 to 7 grams daily as a preventative in cardiovascular disease, for athletes as well, for maintenance, and any healthy person doing strenuous activity, okay? It's 5 to 7 grams daily. And he recommends 7 to 10 grams daily for patients with congestive heart failure. Okay. And any other, ischemic cardiovascular issue. Then this is interesting. He also, and his treatment for angina, all that. Okay. So 10 to 15 grams, which would be 2 to 3 scoops for people with advanced congestive heart failure and patients awaiting heart transplant operations, dilated cardiomyopathy. I mean, he goes on and on. But so
this book was written a decade ago. So these protocols are in play in our cardiovascular treatment protocol in the allopathic, right? Wasn't he a cardiovascular doctor?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So this has all been implemented. This is our current treatment.
No, unfortunately, it's
that's
not.
sad. So let me ask you a question, because here's what I want people to understand. Who knew fourth grade was so important? But it was, So we learned about this Krebs cycle and the optimal ATP production, which was 36 to 38 ATP every time it went around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, guys. No one produces that much ATP. No one. Unless you live in a bubble, eat 100% organic, drink optimal amount of water, you get your sleep, you're exercising and detoxifying every day, you have no emotional stress, you're probably on your best day producing maybe 22 to 24 ATP at a healthy average person. Now add on
doesn't get the job done.
Issue. Yeah. Now add on a cardiovascular medication. So I understand that people are maybe watching this saying, not for me, don't have any cardiovascular disease in my family. Well, if we're going to play the genetics card, how did it get there? Right? Wasn't it a degradation of health through generations that created this downfall? And wasn't it a lifestyle choice within families that created this downfall? Mm-hmm. So everybody needs this. If you're over 40, which some of us aren't yet. No, I'm just kidding. If you're over 40, you need CoQ10 every day. You need Power Fuel every day, even if you're just taking a scoop. I started doing Enter CoQ10 and Power Fuel every day. And it's made a big difference in a couple of things. My energy, for one, because it's strenuous. You got to work, mom, all that stuff.
Right.
But the second thing that I noticed was that my muscle pain and fatigue was subsiding, because I have 2 little boys and I'm 47 years old, and I'm out playing wiffle ball with them and their friends, and I don't recover like I used to, Joe. I don't recover like when I was 20.
When do you have to do it with grandkids when you're 66? Then come and talk to me,
76
okay?
when I have grandkids.
I don't want to hear about 47.
So I'm starting now with the Power Fuel. I'm starting now with the CoQ. I'm starting now. I'm starting today because I want to have longevity and quality.
Yes. I love both of these. These are go-tos for me. The Enter CoQ10. And, if we think about dosing again, okay, just for a second, because 200 to 400 milligrams most people need of CoQ10, right? Well, the sweet spot's in here, 300, right? I can never get the label right. There it is. So the sweet spot, 300, okay?
Face
it's in
the
there.
Bottle away from you.
I try to look at here, look up there.
I know, I got you.
Okay, so you got it here, the sweet spot. Now, in Power Fuel, of course, we don't have 200 milligrams of CoQ10. Okay, but we got a decent amount of CoQ10. That's not the key. The key is the 5 grams of ribose is in here. Okay, and the L-Carnitine at a nice level, Tracy, 500 milligrams. Okay, good dose.
You didn't touch on that, because L-Carnitine, if you take it as an isolate by itself, you can get some digestive issues because it's not converting as fast as it should. Maybe because you're CoQ10 deficient. Maybe because you don't have enough ATP for, the production of a healthy function. Maybe you have a lower fat diet and it has nothing to move into the cell. So I look at these studies and there's always this word of caution, like, may cause stomach upset, may cause this. Well, yeah, if you're imbalanced in other ways. So our suggestion today, Joe, if I'm hearing you right, is to have, a synergy between supplements. So for someone like Wendy, who's taking the Power Q and she's taking one, that's beautiful. Add the Power Fuel now. right?
Right.
Add that in so that you have
Add
that
that in.
complete panel so that you're getting ATP. Make sure you get good fats in your diet, or you're taking a good omega fatty acid. So you have the trifecta of what's going to support you, which is why, Joe, through studies, we found out that good fats are heart healthy. Now we know why, but they're only heart healthy if you don't have deficiencies in these other things. I mean, what if you're taking in a ton of fat, but you don't have enough, CoQ10 in your diet?
And you don't have the vehicle to get it into the cell, which is L-Carnitine.
L-Carnitine, right. So that's what we're talking about with health. There's no one way. It's very individualized. No. But when you're first starting any program, you want to make sure you have that complete protocol, which is why we do wellness solutions at Nutritional Frontiers, because we know that certain nutrients work well together. That's why they're called wellness solutions, not just for your wellness, but because they work well. So same thing, it goes here.
Yeah. And you don't have to stop here. I mean, he talks in the book about other nutrients that are heart healthy. And of course, magnesium is one of them. And we're all deficient in magnesium. But what I think is so important is that we're kind of stumbling onto something that, we've always known about, but yet it's so relevant in a different way. And when I read about D-ribose being so effective in treating hypoxia, I thought, my God. Now, if we go back to Power Fuel, Tracy, the new improved Power Fuel has something else in it for hypoxia, doesn't it? It has the two main precursors for nitric oxide, and that is L-arginine and L-citrulline. And nitric oxide is going to combat hypoxia. So, my God, this is the powerhouse of formulations for today, right now, for everybody out there that's involved with any aspect of this thing.
Yeah. And that was, when we were going through the entire protocol for the April 10th PTE, like I said, I got up there and I studied through all of what was happening with this virus, right? Degradation of RNA, dysregulation of the CB pathway, endocannabinoid system. We knew that the RNA virus required ATP to replicate. So I knew I needed an ATP booster. And so that's where I started. I was like, what is it doing in the body? And how do those things in the body happen through nutrient deficiency, coagulation of the blood? So I put the protocol together. And then, I always want to make sure that the science is right. So I reached out to, the biochemists that I know who are friends of mine. And I said, hey, Judy, take a look at this protocol. What do you think? Hey, Len, what do you think about this? Who's a PharmD, NDMD. So we have these resources where we can self-check. Now, clinically, what I was seeing working, right, from people that I was giving the protocol, it was working. But then I wanted to know why, So same thing with brain and brain fog, mood regulation. When Michelle was like, hey, I'm using Probzyme, for taste. I was like, okay, that's a G coupling receptor in the brain. So Judy had talked about that. She had talked about that with mood and people being moody after COVID. So when I looked those up and half of that circle was olfactory, I was like, it would work for taste and smell too. So I sent it to Judy and I was like, could this work? So all of these things, that's why we're a network, right? We bring it together. And that's what we have to start doing as practitioners. No original ideas. This stuff's been around for thousands of years. You didn't think of it. You just applied it. So if you apply it, it works. Share it. It's the hardest thing when I hear practitioners say, well, I don't want to teach it because it's my protocol. Well, if you don't teach it, then what good is it? If you don't tell somebody, what good does it do? So I appreciate you coming on here, Joe. And I love when people write books and help other practitioners, because that's what Dr. Sinatra did. He found something that worked. Unfortunately, the cardiovascular doctors aren't reading his book.
That's correct. There's a
few free copy to
hospitals. There is a few hospitals he references in the book that people that are following some part of the protocol. Maybe not completely. Maybe they're doing in addition to what they already do. But there are a few that he's been involved with. Unfortunately, not in this area, but. I want to make sure everybody understands too that this protocol, we're talking about it for the heart right now, but I'm like you said, Tracy, the brain, the lungs, the liver, highest sources of serum CoQ10 in the body, those 4 organs right there, not to mention your muscles. Like, oh, and should I tell my mountain climbing story? Okay.
Yes, of course you should.
Okay. Well, when we came out with the original Power Fuel that didn't have the electrolytes in it or the nitric oxide, I was in Arizona at a conference, and the conference hotel was, right in Phoenix. And my colleague said to me, he goes, you know what, tomorrow, he was from Phoenix originally. He said, let's go climb Camelback Mountain. And I said, no. I said, I'm not climbing. Why do I want to go climb a mountain? I'm here.
You were like, I can't wear a suit and do that. So no.
I said, I don't have the shoes. He goes, hey, look across the street. Well, there was a Dick's. So I said, all right, Dick's Sporting Goods. I'll buy some hiking shoes and I'll do this. I had a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. That's all I needed in Arizona. So we proceed. We go out at 6 a.m. because this was like July or August in Arizona. Okay. So we had to go out at 6 a.m. and we climbed it. And I was very humbled. Now this was, I guess about, maybe 9-10 years ago. And I thought I was in good shape, but not to climb a mountain. That was not easy. Okay. And I got to tell you, coming down was almost harder than going up because of the angle and the way, you have to really support your body. So much different. So it took about 2 hours to get up and an hour to get down this mountain, and went right back to the hotel. And I knew I had to work at the booth. Okay, I was at a conference, so the booth. And so showered and I grabbed my Power Fuel and I took a scoop immediately. Later that afternoon, I took another scoop. Now, normally when you do, real extreme exercise, the soreness takes about 12 to 24 hours to set in, Tracy, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this now because tomorrow morning I'm not going to be a happy camper. And so I did 2 scoops. So I had 10 grams of ribose. I got up the next day and I did not have one bit of soreness in my legs. And that's after climbing for 2 hours and coming down for an hour. Incredible. I was sold. I love the formula to begin with, but I saw firsthand how it works. And what did that do? Help the mitochondria repair, prevented lactic acid buildup, all of the things we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, you don't feel that initial soreness because you deaden the nerve endings from the contractility of the muscles against them. That's why you get sore like the next day or even 2 days later, right? Mm-hmm. But, I usually would tell people when I did personal training, it's not the amount of work you can do, because you can really do a lot of work if you put your mind to it. It's how fast you recover. How fast can you come down to resting heart rate? How fast can your muscle soreness subside? And that's really for me a measure of nutrient density in the body. And same, Joe. I've been taking the Power Fuel now for I've been adding it to my Power Cleanse and my Lean Greens for probably the past 2 weeks. And like I said, I have little boys and they're very active, and I'm out there playing wiffle ball and on the trampoline and all the things that they want me to do. And like I said, I'm not as young as I used to be, so that soreness would last a while. But I just played wiffle ball the other day for about 2 hours with them and running, right? Yeah. And honestly, using the Power Fuel, my legs haven't been as sore as I thought they were. So this really works for everybody, but also post-COVID. A lot of people experienced a hard recovery, and that was the thing. And that's why I was like, with anybody that experienced COVID, I'm like, get Power Fuel. The electrolytes will protect the kidneys, and they fuel the kidneys. The nitric oxide is extremely important for any type of deep vein thrombosis, coagulation, endothelial health. People are experiencing kidney pain, and then ATP production, so you can recover. It was like my first go-to. I was like, you need Power Fuel, especially the new formulation, which is awesome. Yeah, and it really tastes good.
It tastes great, and I do have surgeons I've worked with across the country that use Power Fuel as a perioperative nutrient. So they use it 2 weeks before and 4 weeks after a planned surgery.
Wow.
Why? To help the body heal. So the mitochondria heal it. It cuts down on healing time. So it's that good. It's that good. So, that is good stuff. This is the hallmark. Those three nutrients, L-Carnitine, D-ribose, CoQ10, they make up the foundation of the Sinatra solution. But, go look at it. Get the book. You can get it on an ebook. You can get it, anywhere on Amazon. But the information, even though it's about 10 years old, is still vital, and maybe even more vital today with the nitric oxide hypoxia connection. So isn't it incredible that I picked a topic that brought me right back to hypoxia, Trace?
I know. I think you just scan for words in books. But it's so relevant today for the people that are suffering the deep vein thrombosis and the cardiovascular issues, stroke after COVID, and now after this jab. I mean, that's been, you need something to recover. And one of the things that I said a couple weeks ago, I just put out a video and I'm like, we understand all the stuff that's happening from, if you want to say transmission, whatever. Okay, what do we do? What do we do? Let's offer some solutions. So here are the solutions. We're not going to escape it, right? Unless you are living in a bubble, you're not going to escape people that have received the jab. You can't hide in your house forever. You don't want to stay separated from people from the rest of your life. I mean, we saw what that did with COVID. When everybody was so sick, going, oh, stay away from me, wear your mask 6 feet. And now we have a jab out there, and the same people who were screaming, no, we got to be together, are now saying, stay away from me 6 feet. So it's like, we can't get away from it, So it's like, all right, everyone take a breath. What can we do? What can we do?
Nutrify your body.
Right. Regardless of what's coming at you, your body will respond the same. It doesn't change its immunological pathway because something's coming at it. Yes, it might be a genetic synthetic code, but still, so is glyphosate. So was, any type of genetically modified foods. Your body still responded the same. So we need to do the same for our body. We got to nutrify it, stay strong, foundations, use these products, do all the same things that we've been talking about for the last year and a half. Now, not after it happens, now. You want to order these products today.
Yeah, and look, let's say it one more time. You can't live by food alone. You cannot get this protocol through food.
Right.
It's just not possible. You'll never get the D-ribose in that amount. You'll never get the CoQ10 in that amount. And you won't even get the L-Carnitine in that amount. Right. So you can't do it through food. These nutrients, they're present, yes. But a therapeutic level, absolutely not. You got to do it through supplementation.
I agree. And yes, Wendy, you can use the Power Fuel in your Super Shake. I put it in my Power Cleanse. That's the beauty of the formulas from Nutritional Frontiers. They can be used in combination, and they actually work synergistically better in combination. So I think it's a great idea. I don't know about taste or what kind of Super Shake you have, but I would imagine if it's vanilla, it would taste very good to have that flavor in there. I know we put Pro Oranges in our Super Shake vanilla, and it tastes like a dreamsicle. So I don't know. My son likes that one.
I mixed the Power Fuel with the greens. Didn't look real pretty, but it sure did taste good. It tastes great.
Tastes great.
So,
and it's filling, unlike Miller Lite too. So,
hey, is this the last one?
You're the last. So maybe you can we saved the best for last, but maybe you can wrap up the week and give a little thank you and all that. So
I want to do that. I want to wrap up the week and really, really show our appreciation. This has been, it's almost like it was. It's so close. It's so damn close, especially here at the Weiner Wellness Center, because people are back. They're coming. They're shopping. They're coming in. We're talking. Oh, it's great. They're eating. They're taking samples, telling stories. It's close. We're almost there. And I'm just very happy to be a part of what's going on here in the rebirth of the Weiner Wellness Center. And of course, thanks to Jamie Dorley, the architect. Tracy, we couldn't have done this. We still can't do it without you, no matter what. This is about the 5th time you've done it, but we still can't do it without you. And
you're working at it, though. I can tell. No, I'm just kidding.
No, No, Phil, he's your Phil's idol. He loves you. He just wants to learn from you. But
Well, Phil showed me so much stuff, and I want to show my appreciation for him.
Phil's been great.
He really adapted quick. So thank you, Phil.
Yeah, and everybody, it's just been so great with the cooperation with everyone. I mean, from NF to all the whole staff here. I hope we're still. I hope he's still smiling, and I don't mean God. I mean Doc. I hope he's still smiling that we're carrying on the tradition here and we're adding to it. And it can get bigger and better than ever. New practitioners, Ashley Rossi, Dr. Phil Ross. We got 2 Phils and Rosses and Rossies, and I don't know, we got all kinds of names. But we're adding to the staff. And, we brought people in this week that haven't been here in years to help us out, and it's been great. Everybody's just standing up. So it's at the end of the Wellness Week, folks. The official end of the Wellness Week is today, 5 o'clock. But I can pretty much guarantee you that we're going to extend the sale through next week. We're not going to. Yay! The food truck will be gone. I'm sorry about that. But it will be. You can still take advantage of all these great deals here at the Weiner Wellness Center through next week. And you can still come in. You can still call us, 412-922-9355. Stop in. We'd love to see you. Really would. And we've seen a lot of old faces. It's just been great. Some have stayed all day.
Yes. Well, thank you, Joe, for everything you do as well, because you're down there 6 days a week helping rebuild this and, make it better than ever. So you are such a vital part of it, and all your experience and your loyalty to not only Nutritional Frontiers, but to Jamie and the entire staff. You're just a wonderful asset. And I find it a complete honor to work with you, Joe, because, you're one of my great friends.
I love you too.
I love you. Yeah. So, guys, remember, you can watch.
I got to go get on the radio. So
okay. All right. I'll close it out.
KDKA, folks, coming up.
Are you're going on today, 1 o'clock?
I'm going on
live.
How
do they tune in?
Yeah, you can go to KDKA Radio at 10:20 a.m. or you can go to kdkaradio.com, which used to be radio.com, and now it's Odyssey. Odyssey.com.
Okay. So kdka.com. Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
See ya. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us for a week of education. These lectures are all available on our Facebook page, Nutritional Frontiers Facebook page and YouTube page. So go there, share them, watch them again, keep learning, keep empowering yourself to make the right choices for you and your family. You are the one that you can count on the most. So make sure that you keep learning and tune in next time, because our next Weiner Wellness Week will be coming up in July. And if you've ordered anything, you already got your flyer for that, but it's going to keep getting bigger and better. Savings all through next week. So order your products and have a great day. God bless you, everybody. And thank you for being here this week.